little church, a quiet street, a small Texas town, suddenly thrust into the glare of the national spotlight.
It's heartbreaking. That church is my family.
After a gunman opened fire, killing 26 people during their Sunday ritual in a house of worship.
And there's so many that are gone. It hurts so much.
Sutherland Springs joining Las Vegas, Orlando, Newtown, a list of names synonymous with mass shootings and what seems like an endless and accelerating stream of gun violence. And tonight, new information about the killer. The military confirming he was convicted of domestic violence during his time in the Air Force. That record should have stopped him from being able to buy the murder weapon in the first place. The assault began shortly after 11:20 a.m. in the midst of the morning worship service. The attacker, identified by authorities as 26-year-old Devin Kelly, parked his car at this gas station, then walked across the street to the First Baptist Church.
He was shooting people while he was walking in there.
Rosa Salas just got home from the hospital, still recovering from a bullet wound in the shoulder.
Everybody was so quiet. You could only hear the sound of the bullets. And people screaming. People screaming and people crying and, "Mama, where are you, Mama?" The little kids.
Was anybody trying to get away? Was there anywhere to go?
There wasn't nowhere to go.
You were all trapped.
We were trapped inside.
She says as Kelly fired off hundreds of rounds, reloading his weapon dozens of times, he yelled this message to his victims.
He said, "Everybody die."
Yeah.
That's how he said. Had my ears covered up and, oh my God.
When you're like this and you're covering your head, what are you thinking?
I shouldn't have gone to church that day. He told me not to go. Let's not go. Let's just wait till next week. And I'm never going to see my grandchildren again. And I'm going to die.
As he exited the church, a local resident grabbed his rifle and engaged that suspect.
I'm no hero. I am not. I just wish I could have gotten there faster.
Stephen Williford was home less than a block away when his daughter ran in, telling him she heard gunfire at the church.
And every time I heard a shot, I knew that probably represented a life. I was scared to death.
But the former NRA instructor didn't freeze. He grabbed his gun and raced outside. He wasn't even wearing shoes.
Is the people at that church, they're friends of mine, their family.
As the gunman sped away, Williford spotted Johnny Langendorf.
The gentleman with the rifle came to my truck. He briefed me quickly on what had just happened and said that we had to get him, and so that's what I did. We hit about 95 going down 539 trying to catch this guy. He just hurt so many people.
My God, my Lord, protected me and gave me the skills to do what needed to be done.
During the chase, police say the shooter called his father.
The suspect used his cell phone to notify his father that he had been shot and didn't think he was going to make it.
The gunman lost control of his vehicle and crashed it into a ditch about 10 miles away at the Wilson-Guadalupe county line. An autopsy confirms that Williford did shoot him, but that ultimately Kelly killed himself.
2 gunshot wounds were from the armed citizen. One of those was in the leg and the other one was in the torso.
Back at the church, another neighbor, David Casillas, arrived just minutes after the gunfire stopped, weeping as he turned his camera on.
Church right down the street from our house. There's people dead in there already. There's one dead out here.
Police suspect that the killing spree was rooted in a domestic dispute, Kelly hunting for his mother-in-law.
The suspect's mother-in-law attended this church. We know that she had received threatening texts from him.
Tonight, a senior law enforcement official who viewed the video from inside the massacre tells ABC News there is little doubt the gunman came to the church to kill everyone in that building, period.
Sounds like in this case, the individual who carried out the attack was going through a life of anger and disconnection, finally focused on his in-laws as the root of his problems.
Authorities said the 26-year-old, a former airman, was discharged in 2014 after serving a 1-year sentence for assaulting his first wife and his 11-month-old stepson. Military records show he intentionally broke the child's clavicle and severely injured his skull. In theory, the domestic abuse charges should have barred anyone from obtaining guns.
They would be prohibited from possessing or purchasing firearms.
But the Air Force allegedly failed to enter information about Kelly's conviction into an FBI database, one source calling it an administrative error.
It's my understanding that he applied for a legal permit to carry a gun in the state of Texas and was denied that permit.
But at some point in 2016 and again in 2017, he did buy 2 weapons from Academy Sports, a chain store at 2 different locations in San Antonio. Academy Sports confirmed the purchases in a statement, adding, "Both sales were approved by the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. We are cooperating with law enforcement as they investigate further." Kelly apparently had an affection for his firearms, posting a picture of his assault rifle on his Facebook page, and could be heard shooting where he lived, a rural area north of San Antonio.
The only thing unusual about them across the street is we hear a lot of gunfire, and a lot of times at night.
The firearm used in the shooting was a Ruger AR-556, a variation of the AR-15, the same type of weapon used in Newtown and Las Vegas, a weapon that was once illegal.
We've seen so many mass shootings, and what we have seen over and over again is that the assault-style rifle is the preferred weapon of killing.
In 1994, President Clinton signed into law a ban of new semi-automatic assault weapons and large-capacity ammunition magazines. The law was in place for 10 years, but expired in 2004.
What's happened, I think, in the last couple of decades is that it's become bigger than an issue just around gun ownership. It's become a proxy for the social battles and the cultural battles that seem to animate everything in politics right now.
President Trump was quick to respond from Japan.
Very deranged individual, a lot of problems over a long period of time.
But suggested it was too soon to discuss gun policy.
This isn't a guns situation. I mean, we could go into it, but it's a little bit soon to go into it.
A similar response to what he gave in the wake of the massacre in Las Vegas last month that killed 58. But in stark contrast to his stance after last week's truck rampage in New York City, when he called for immediate changes in immigration policy.
This is a mental health problem at the highest level.
But critics point out that just weeks after his inauguration, Trump signed a measure rolling back a regulation that made it harder for some people with mental illness to purchase guns. Critics of that regulation said the rule, which affected about 75,000 people, violated the Second Amendment.
Not everyone with a mental health issue is going to commit a mass casualty attack, but anyone who commits mass murder clearly has a mental health issue.
Today on Capitol Hill,
it's hard to envision a foolproof way to prevent individual outrages by evil people.
And Ted Cruz, a Republican senator from Texas, in a testy exchange with reporters.
And do they need gun control now, sir?
You know, it is an unfortunate thing that the immediate place the media goes after any tragedy, after any murder, is politicizing it.
I think you've seen Republicans answer these events with almost predictable regularity. It's almost like the tweets are queued up from the last time to talk about thoughts and prayers and the need to focus on the victims and hope for that the nation can heal. What we're seeing with each passing one of these events, though, I think are Democrats newly emboldened to call out their colleagues on the other side.
It is not a coincidence that all of these mass shootings have one thing in common, a weapon that is banned in most other countries.
Tonight, the community mourning the 26 lives lost, a staggering number in a town with less than 650 people. The dead and wounded ranging from just 18 months old to 77 years old. At least a dozen, maybe more, were children. That includes Pastor Frank Pomeroy's youngest daughter, Annabelle. Pomeroy and his wife were out of town when the shooting happened, but 14-year-old Belle was in the church Sunday morning as usual.
One thing that gives me a sliver of encouragement is the fact that Belle was surrounded yesterday by her church family that she loved fiercely.
For the Holcomb family, death crossed 3 generations. Associate Pastor Brian Holcomb was a guest speaker for services yesterday when the gunman burst in. He died along with his wife Carla, son Mark Daniel, and 1-year-old granddaughter Noah. Their other son John survived, but his pregnant wife Crystal did not. 3 more of her children also died. 8 members of a single family gone, killed in the place so many Americans feel safest, their church. And so many others fighting to survive tonight. For Sutherland Springs, the focus now is on the long road towards healing. For so many families here, faith will keep this community strong.
Whatever life brings to you, lean on the Lord rather than your own understanding. I don't understand, but I know my God does, and that's where I'll leave that.
For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Sutherland Springs, Texas.
Our thanks to Matt Gutman, and tonight our thoughts are with all those touched by the senseless bloodshed.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.